Well, good morning. Happy Wednesday. I'm hopeful again that this will come across loud and clear. Just want to get you up to date on a couple things going on in our community. It's been a gorgeous week. Hopefully, you've been able to get outside a little bit, enjoy this nice fall weather. But although COVID may have us kind of still hunkered down, we are still very active at our community. So, with that, I will get started. The first thing I want to let you know, I did hear from several of you about having minutes from the chats, the ones that I'm doing now. And so I've worked with Angela, and she has volunteered graciously that she will start pulling together some minutes from the conversation I'm having with you. So those will then be put out by the various hall chairs and in various locations, both at West and Guilford campus. So thank you for that request, and I'm sorry that we haven't had minutes in the past, but hopefully with this one, you'll have something to follow up with. So first of all, let's start off with COVID. That's kind of the topic of the last 7 or 8 months. So, we're still not out of the woods yet. The good news is that Governor Cooper did give us the all clear for phase 3. That does assume that we will continue to see some trending going down. We still need the vaccine. We still need people to, once the vaccine comes out, people still need to take the vaccine. But we have hope. And among all things, we do not want to lose the fact that we have hope. So just like we did when this started happening, I think we were very proactive in trying to shut things down pretty quickly to ensure that we keep the virus out to the best of our abilities. As we start gradually opening up, if you will, we're going to be very cautious. So yes, although phase 3 went into effect, I think it was last Friday, we are still being very, how do I say this? Just again, I'll just use the word cautious. We've been very cautious. We're having a lot of meetings, a lot of communication. I will tell you one thing that you need to be aware of is that in our great world, we have about 8 or 9 different agencies that are telling us what to do and not do. And a lot of times they conflict. So sometimes we'll get something from Medicare, CMS. They'll say you can do this, turn around, the state said, no, you can't do that. Health department says, well, you can do this, only if you do that. And so trying to figure out, we are held to the highest standards. So one person might say you can open everything up, but if another organization, health department, the state, the people that license us says no, you cannot, we have to follow those guidelines, if you will. So we're kind of working through the weeds of that, but several things are going on. Here at Friends Homes, both West and Guilford, we continue to do weekly testing of our staff. We've, in some cases, our residents. But within the last, say, 7 or 8 days, we have had about 3 or 4 employees that have tested positive. And so they, of course, have been on quarantine. We've done some contact tracing. So that continues on. I will still say that we feel very confident that wearing the mask is helping tremendously. Yes, we're doing a lot of things. Although we've started to slowly open up from like our fitness center and things like that, working on some activities. We're working on slowly looking at opening up the dining room on a limited basis. So as we look at doing these things, please, please, please continue to wash your hands, be self-aware, maintain 6 feet distance wherever appropriate. Still see, in some cases, staff too, but residents where the mask is not being properly worn, touching of the face. So if we want to continue to work toward having this gradual reopening, we all have to do our job to make sure that we're keeping this virus out. So a lot of times when you see us start setting up programs or whatever, whether it's maintenance or environmental services, they have gone in and spaced out seating tables to ensure that we're meeting the various guidelines. Please don't move the tables and chairs around. They are being done for your safety. We all going to have to play a part in ensuring that we continue to stay safe, stay healthy, keep the virus out to the best of our abilities. So we'll continue our testing as required. Again, we're following local and state and federal guidelines with that. So what I'd like to ask of you or share with you now, I have to put on my reading glasses. Ever since I started wearing these things, now I can't see anything without them. We are working on a slow opening. So it's visitors right now. We're allowing visitors to come back in if they're providing some type of care or assistance to our independent living residents. We are looking at working toward allowing visitors come in at a future time during the week. One of the things we're testing out this week and next week is an artificial intelligence type system that will help us monitor people coming onto our campus. It will take their temperature. It would ask them the questions so that we can ensure that anybody that is coming in is being checked. So with that being said, I will ask again, please do not let anybody in the building without going through the proper check-in procedures. So I know we're very nice. You see someone out the door, you open the door, but then that means they're bypassing. So one of the things we're looking at doing as we look at a gradual reopening to allow visitors come in is have a way that they can be checked in and have some type of system, whether it's a label they attach to their top or whatever to say that they have been verified and screened, so that when we see them walking around, we know. I will tell you, as we open up, it's still going to be very limited. They will only be able to go directly to the residence apartment. They will not be able to participate in any of the programming, activities, or dining. We will continue to restrict that just to our residents. So more to come. So be looking for your weekly newsletters. Don and Missy have been doing a fabulous job as far as communicating with our residents and responsible parties. So continue to stay abreast by reading those when they come out. One of the things I'd like to do now is share a little bit about the board. The board of trustees, we did meet with them on September 29th. We wrapped up our fiscal year. We're in a new fiscal year. They did approve the 2021 budget. That 2021 budget I will be sharing with you both when we have our semi-annual meetings, both at West and Guilford, although maybe virtually. In that budget, they did approve a 3% service fee increase that goes into effect January 1st for independent living, and a 3.5% service fee increase for assisted living and skilled nursing. Again, that goes into effect January 1st. I've had I'll just say a handful of residents had asked if we would consider waiving an increase for next year, understanding that as you're paying your monthly service fees, you know, housekeeping had been limited there for a while, activities have been limited, dining program obviously is not our normal fare as far as being in the dining room. You've had to adapt. And so it's a fair question. I told the couple of residents I spoke to that this actually was part of our budget considerations, but the answer is no. There will be an increase. When we look at expenses and work continues that needs to be done, 3%. You remember I told you in some years it probably should be more than 3%. Maybe in some years it should be a little less than 3%, but for the most part, for planning purpose, you can pretty much assume it's going to be 3%. This is one of those years that it probably, if anything, could be more, should have been more than 3%, but we are sticking to 3. As a point of fact, we still don't know what's going to happen with COVID. We made an assumption that we're going to have about 6 or 7 more months in this fiscal year related to COVID expenses. We still have our quarantine unit, but just yesterday, I got some nice invoices of about $78,000 for testing. So COVID's been very expensive. The government, through the CARES Act, has helped mitigate a lot of those expenses because of through grants, which we're very appreciative of. We don't look forward to the time we have to repay that because, as you know, they don't make their own money. They may give you money, but at some point they're coming back forward some way, somehow. But as we look at that, another milestone that we're hitting this year, and if you remember, we set this at our 60th anniversary, that Friends Homes, wants to be able to provide a living wage, which for its employees. And I am excited to announce that effective October 1st, with this most recent budget approval, our minimum lowest wage that we pay at Friends Homes is $11.50 per hour. That's for in Guilford County. the living wage for a single person is $11.40. So we did hit a milestone. And again, this is for just a couple of baseline entry-level positions. Obviously, we pay more than that based upon experience, based upon your credentials, various things. But the minimum wage an employee will make here is considered a living wage. On top of that, we have a robust benefits. As you know, we do 401k, we have a retirement plan. We pay 90% of the individual's health insurance. We have an employee assistance program. We have a nurse practitioner that comes 2 days a week free to help our employees with various medical issues and stuff like that. So big milestone. We also in our budget have another 3% wage increase to try to make sure that we're continuing to stay within our market. I will tell you there are other places like the Targets, the Chick-fil-A's, they may have that baseline pay may be a little bit higher, but when you start looking at the benefits and stuff like that, they can't compete with us. And so when we've been looking at recruitment and retention of good qualified employees, hitting this milestone is really big because as I was talking to a resident yesterday, in our business, if you will, we're somewhat limited on who we can bring into our workforce. We have very high standards as it relates to background checks as well as drug testing. And so I've shared with you in past, almost everybody I know now smokes marijuana. So it's hard to find an employee that wants to come work and it doesn't smoke dope. So when we're doing drug testing and background checks, if they have anything on it, if they've ever stolen or any type of that could be construed as abuse, anything, they're not coming to friends' homes. So you already kind of limit your pool of people you can pull from. So we want to make sure that those people that Wellspring's fighting for, River Landing's fighting for, Whitestone's fighting for, even the hospitals are fighting for, we want to make sure we continue to stand out because we want to make sure we're recruiting and retaining the best of the best. So with that, I thank you because it is what you pay in your monthly service fees that has afforded us the opportunity to continue to ensure that we are recruiting and retaining those employees that are taking care of not only you, but taking care of this great organization. So with that, I say thank you. A couple other things related to the board. We did approve a slate of new board of trustees for next year. Tom Wright and Dan Allen, who've been on our board for a long time, will be completing their second consecutive 3-year term. So they will be rotating off. Ed Phillips, who is a resident at Friends Homes West, will be completing his first term and rotating off at the end of this year. Charlotte Hamlin, Charlotte Hamlin is a resident at Friends Homes Guilford and has been a board of trustees for almost 3 years. And Charlotte passed away yesterday. And so prior to Charlotte having to go to hospice, she had asked that the board find someone to fill her slot. And if you know Charlotte, I mean, it says a lot about who Charlotte is. Even before she passed, she was trying to find a way to make the last board meeting. So the board did approve Nancy Glenn's for Friends Homes Guilford to step in to complete Charlotte's last year of her term, which will end at December 31st, 2021. But right now, the residents of Friends Homes at Friends Homes Guilford, you have Nancy Glenn's and Ray Treadway. And at Friends Homes West, you have Barbara Jones and Ted Lyde will be serving, he'll start next year on the board of trustees and serving a 3-year term. So those are your resident representatives. And I will still commend of the 19 board of trustees, 4 of those are residents. And that is unheard of. In our world, in our industry, to have that much representation says a lot. So I think these are all great candidates. I know they're going to represent very well, but I just want you to be aware of that. So when you see Ed Phillips at West, thank him for his service, but also acknowledge, if you can, Ted Lyde and Nancy Glenn as they come on and take on this responsibility. So today, around 10:30, Friends Homes is going to receive about $53 million. We'll be closing on our bond issuance for 2020. This is the remaining money we need to complete the phase one construction. And so that money will be in our bank account. Well, yeah, I guess in our bank, trustee held account around 10:30, 11 o'clock today. So I know some of you were able to participate in the bond. We did set aside about $5 million worth of bonds for friends and family. I know some of you were able to purchase some of those bonds. The rate may not have been as high as you had hoped. As you may or may not know, that Friends Homes recently was rated by Fitch as a triple B minus, which is a really big deal. I might have said this last month, but only about 5% of all retirement communities are rated. And we're one of those, which says a lot about our financial stability. But with that rating, it allowed us to get a lower interest rate. So I think all in, over a 30-year term, our net interest rate is about 3.6%. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. So that will be happening today. As part of our budget that has been approved, we actually do have about $3 million that is capital related. So when we talk about how much it costs to run this community, we're getting ready to put in about $3 million. And I know a lot of you, and I shouldn't say a lot, but several of you feel like all we're focused on is the construction, and that may feel like that's the case, but our heart is always in our where we started. And so we actually have identified $3 million worth of additional capital items that will take place for both the Guilford and the West Campus in this fiscal year. So very excited about that. So it should be a very busy time. I've already talked to you about the living wages, and then we also have in our budget some additional wage enhancements for our nurses, and continue to try to make sure that the nurses that we are recruiting and retaining, we're paying them a fair wage and a competitive wage. So that has been incorporated as well. For next year, the board has a lot that they're looking into. We'll be, believe it or not, even though we're just starting on phase one, we'll start talking about phase two of our community plan. But there also is time for us to update our strategic plan. Our strategic plan was done almost 5 years ago. I'm excited to say we've pretty much knocked out about 90% of the items that were on our strategic plan. But next year, we'll be spending the bulk of the year updating our strategic plan for the next 5 years. We are currently working on a capital campaign. We're in the silent phase. Don't tell anybody. We're in the silent phase of our capital campaign. So that will be kind of rolling out next year, sometime probably around the spring, I would believe. We're also going to be focusing on looking at diversity and inclusion as it relates to our residents, our staff, our board, and to ensure that we're doing everything that we can to be both a diverse and inclusive community, and a continued focus on sustainability. So I would say that's a lot in a nutshell, but that's what the board's going to really be looking at for next year. And so I will keep you up to date as we make progress with that. So a little bit on construction. These rainstorms that come in and drop an inch or two have played a little havoc on things. On the Guilford campus, we are now wrapping up a lot of the stormwater that we had to do. And so we're going to be now moving into the grading part. So they'll be starting getting the pads ready for the houses. So we're very excited about that. With that, probably you'll see starting next week at the Guilford campus, we're going to start putting up some temporary signs because part of our parking is going to be removed for about 2 to 3 months. And so we'll lose about 40 spots right outside the Woolman building. So we're going to be putting up signs, and we're going to be moving toward permanent parking. So all residents and staff will get a rear view mirror hang tag that's color coded. And that's where you are going to be assigned. You're going to be assigned to certain areas on the campus. There are enough parking spots for all of our residents, and only a handful really of guests and staff and contractors are going to have to park off-site or on the parking deck or right behind Henshaw. Um, excuse me. New Garden Meeting House has allowed us to park in their parking lot, which is very generous. So signs will go up next week. Hang tags will probably be distributed next week. I have a meeting today that will tell us when they'll actually be taking those parking spots, but we're thinking it could be probably uh, 2 weeks from now, maybe first part of November. And depending on the weather and things like that, it's most likely going to be probably 3 months that we'll have those spots taken. We will get all 40 spots back, although they'll be in a different configuration. So looking forward to that. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but just be patient with us, and we will get through this. I'm excited to announce, a little off subject, but this really came through our sustainability with the board and some other people asking. But both at the Guilford and West Campus, we are going to install charging stations for electric vehicles. And so at the Guilford campus, I think we're going to do two. And so very excited about that. I don't think we have any electric vehicles here on this campus, but as the future comes out. So more to come on that. But that was something that actually came, I think, from a resident of the future, also from one of our board members. So we went back and investigated, and we are able to add that. So renderings, oh, I'm sorry. On the west side project, the barn is gone. The Coble House is gone. They're starting on some stormwater management now. If you have not peeked through the fence or looked down and what I call the north track where the bridge crossing was, it's changed. It's just amazing. So they're working on that right now. On the wellness center has kind of been a somewhat slight hold. We have encountered a lot of wet soil. So we've always heard that there were springs and things like that. Well, they started digging down, and the water table is fairly close to grade, and so we're working around that. But hopefully that we'll find a solution and we'll be able to move on. So things progress. So continue to watch, and it's kind of like a little activity. I love watching these big tractors and how these men and women are out there, and the way they take these multi-ton vehicles and just are able to do what they do it's just amazing. So, but I will know more after today's meeting as far as what our schedule is, our time frame. So more to come on that. Renderings are up both at the West and Guilford campus. Sorry it took so long to get them to you. At the West campus, they're to the left of the main dining room, going down that hallway. On the Guilford campus, they are being displayed in the Fox Concourse. So if you get an opportunity, please stop by, and you'll see renderings of both the West and Guilford campus of what we're working toward. So that is up. Marketing continues to go well. We still have a lot of interest as far as coming to our existing campus. I will tell you some delays have happened because trying to get people to move in, as far as getting the moving companies, they were on hold for so long, and now they were kind of backlogged. Met a very nice resident yesterday at the West campus, and one of the comments that she made was she was just so impressed with the amount of people that have stopped by to welcome her and say hello. And it just warms my heart, because when I first came to Friends Homes, probably the biggest thing I picked up on, other than that Quaker influence, was that sense of community and fellowship and friendship. And although COVID has us kind of down a little bit, y'all have not lost the core of who you are, and that's family. You're very loving people and you're caring people. So thank you for continuing to be welcoming and acknowledging and making people feel at home. It means a lot. It means a lot. And I know it's genuine, which means even more. The marketing is going very well. I will tell you from COVID has not been our friend, because we've been limited on, as far, especially with the new construction, getting people to come on property, to do tours and things like that. It's been a little bit limited. So I will share with you, if you know of anyone that has interest as it relates to our expansion, please give Susan Brewer their names, give them a call. They'll be more than happy to reach out. What we find, although we're doing all this advertising and communication, at the end of the day, it's the references from our residents, the ones that speak up and saying, hey, this is a great place, you get great care, great people. And so it's you that's our biggest resource. So if you do have anybody that you know may be interested, please let Susan Brewer know, and we would be more than happy to reach out to them. But thank you for all past references and any future references you may bring. So. Okay, this is just some little operational stuff. So I will share, I've talked about this probably over the last year, and so it's kind of coming to a head now. We have a new contract for new residents coming in. It will go live really in January 1st of 2021. And what that new contract does, it moves away from a meal allotment. So everyone that's hearing this today gets a meal allotment as part of their contract. Some are an equivalent of 1 meal per day, some are 2. Well, when we've been doing all this community planning, one of the things we heard is people want choice, and they don't necessarily want to feel like they have to use take all their meals, and that's where they're getting value. And there's several people that don't use all their meals for various reasons, because they eat out or whatever the case may be. So what we got approved through the Department of Insurance is we're going to be moving to what's called a monthly service fee credit that is part of your monthly service fee, and it's an allotment, $1. It's a credit. I say dollars because it associates with dollars. But it's a monthly credit that can be utilized toward a multitude of services offered by Friends Homes. It can be used for dining. It can be used for catering. It can be used for guest lodging, maintenance service requests. It can be used for housekeeping, transportation, even some clinic charges, not like with Dr. Gupta, but like if Robin or Tanika are doing something like a wrapping or something like that. So, excuse me. This monthly service credit, you can apply those services that Friends Homes offer against that. And it's a kind of a spin down. So that'll go into effect January 1st for all new residents moving in. And so with that being said, I shared with you over a year ago that I would like to put out there to our existing residents to do a trial to see if some residents would be willing to, or not willing, I should say, would prefer to move from a meal allotment to this monthly service fee credit. And there are pros and cons to it, so it won't work for everyone. But what I like to ask, or I'm going to put out probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to take a kind of a first come, first serve of residents that would like to sign a contract addendum that would move them from a meal allotment to the service fee credit. And the reason why is because within the next year to 2 years, we're going to get about 100 new residents all at one time under this new contract. And we need to make sure we have everything buttoned up. So you are going to, I know, will be very patient with us as we try to transition to this new contract. Remember, we'll continue to support all of our existing contracts. So for those that have your contracts, nothing changes with you. Nothing will change. I will in the future allow an opportunity if you want to change, but we can't do that across the board right now. So I just want really a small sample group, if you will, that would be willing to help us plug our holes, figure out some administrative stuff, and give us feedback as we prepare for the new residents coming in. So probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be putting something in the in-house mailboxes. So please look out for that. And I'll be more than happy to talk to you more about that if you so choose. So very excited, more to come on that. Okay, let's talk about my favorite subject, Spectrum. So we're going crazy. I'll just say that, we're going crazy. And that's not your problem, that's our problem. But we continue to work with Spectrum as it relates to internet service or lack thereof. One of the things that we continue to find, especially now that we've been kind of housed in with COVID, is y'all are using a lot of internet bandwidth. Some of y'all are using more than I use in a whole month in a day. So I'm not really sure what all you're doing, but anyway, the way our internet is set up is it's it's good. It's not great. It's good. And it sends out a certain amount of bandwidth that then is shared by a group of people. So like going down a hallway, you'll see these various things in the ceiling, and maybe 5 or 6 people are tapping into that, and that's how they're getting their internet. In the future, remember our contract doesn't end until like May of 2023. In the future, where we're going is that each apartment and each device will have its own internet bandwidth. So that way you're not having to share with individual devices or with other neighbors. But that's 2.5 years away. So right now you're sharing bandwidth with your neighbor. So if y'all were trying to do something that takes up a lot of bandwidth, you're fighting for the same amount of data, if you will, or speed. In some cases that doesn't work. So people are getting kicked off. They're getting a little bubble where it's trying to pixelating and spooling, if you will. So Rick continues to go at it from different angles with a multitude, both spectrum. We brought a third party in to kind of help us assess. So right now, he is currently looking at trying to see how much it would cost for us to boost up our bandwidth. The problem is we're not sure if the equipment we have will support it. We're waiting to see. We're also looking at adding some additional what they call access points, which kind of spreads out the demand, if you will, on those individual access points. So we're still working on it. Thank you for your patience. I will tell you, this is not something I want to say, but I want to make you aware because some of you are not aware. So we provide Wi-Fi as part of what you pay for. We provide Wi-Fi, but it's not dedicated Wi-Fi. What it means is you don't have your own dedicated internet signal. You can get that. You can call Spectrum and get that. It is a cost, and you will pay what I pay. And at home, I pay I think it's $60. And it's high-speed internet. It's my internet. So it is a choice. So if you find that these internet disruptions is causing you havoc, stress, and anxiety, there is a solution. It costs $60 a month, and you can get your own dedicated internet signal. It may be something you want to consider. I think Spectrum does not require a long-term contract. So if you want to do that till we hopefully can get this thing figured out, that's maybe a stopgap. You don't have to do it, but I just want to share it is an option as we continue to work on trying to fix this on a larger scale. So Ashlyn Smith, who, if you don't know how to call Spectrum, whatever, you can reach out to Ashlyn Smith, who's a facility service coordinator. She works for Rick Hatch, and she can give you the number to call. So thank you for your patience on that. I want to talk to you a little bit about work orders. So work orders, as you know now, they come into Rose, they come into Ashlyn, excuse me, Sheila, and so they're put into the system. This is a database system. It tracks things, it prioritizes work orders, but also gives us a way of knowing what's going on, where we're having multiple issues. So sometimes people say, well, what happens like in the weekends or after hours? So our main line, which goes to the Whittier desk, that's man, woman, 24 hours a day. They will take work orders after hours. They'll put it in the system. We do have maintenance on call. We actually have maintenance here on the weekend. One person supports both campuses. But we do have maintenance on call. But maintenance on call will come in for various emergency type situations. So if we have heat or cooling issues, like a leak, things like that. One of the comments I get is, I got a plugged toilet. And sometimes security will help you with that. Maintenance, if you've got 2 bathrooms, maintenance will not come in to unplug one toilet if you got a toilet. But they will come in if that's the only toilet you have. But hopefully security will be able to help with that. But after hours and on weekends, work orders go to the Whittier desk. The work orders are put in. If they have the protocol that if it requires to call the maintenance on call, they will. If they're in question, they'll call, and maintenance will tell them what to do or if they're coming in. So I want to make you aware of that. As I'm kind of wrapping up, I want to share a couple shout outs about just the overall support and generosity of this community. So from what I heard, we had a very successful crop walk this past Monday. I'm sorry I was not able to participate in that. I feel like all I do now is meetings, but I heard that was very successful. You know, the annual giving campaign, we've crested over the $80,000 mark toward our goal of $111,000, which again is 10% of our overall need as it relates to our residents' financial assistance. And then for an employee appreciation fund. So Guilford wrapped up their employee appreciation fund and they exceeded their goal by over $7,000. I think they raised right at 62, maybe a little bit more than $62,000 that will be distributed next week during the fall festival to the Guilford staff. West right now is currently undergoing their employee appreciation fund campaign. What I'll share with you, although this specific campaign is done by the residents, I just want to again tell you how much it means. Although myself, the department heads, contractors don't participate in this, we don't receive this gift, if you will. It really goes to, well, it does. It goes to our front line and those that are actually taking care of you. What it means to them, especially today, you know, with everything going on with COVID, the stress that you're undergoing, the stress they're undergoing, stress with their family, it just means so much. And so I want to ask for West, if you have not supported the Employee Appreciation Fund, please consider making a gift. It will mean a lot, and I look forward to y'all meeting your goal, and be nice if you exceed it as well. But thank you. Any support you can give means a lot. And on behalf of those employees that receive this gift, thank you for that. Couple of little things at Guilford and West that are specific. I just mentioned that Guilford next week is going to be having a week-long worth of events for their fall festival. So I think that was in the weekly newsletter. So please look at that, participate. As I said, COVID may have us down, but we're going to do everything we can to let it know that we will survive and we are still living. So look forward to seeing y'all with the fall festival events next week at Guilford. They're currently painting the Woolman building. That should be wrapped up hopefully within the next week or so. We're still looking at taking down the solar panels. We're working with a third party. Do not have a date. We were hoping that was going to already occur, but that's been somewhat delayed. So to let you know about that. At West, now that with Governor Cooper's phase 3, we have told contractors as long as they follow our safety protocols, they're going to come in, they're going to finish the carpet replacement in our hallways. They also, you know, we've got a 5-year plan replacing all the HVAC units at Prince Homes West. And so we realized that we didn't have shut-off valves for the water and cooling system. So when you walk down the halls, there's a lot of holes in various points in the ceiling. That's where we've accessed the water lines and we've put in cutoff valves. We're going to be putting door access panels there. They have been open for a while because we didn't want the contractors here during COVID. But now that we're in phase 3, and as long as they follow our protocols, we've told them to come in and start getting those holes patched up so we don't have to look at holes in the ceiling anymore. Another thing at West, I think the ping pong table. West ping pong table came to Guilford. I think it's in the solarium. And West, it's got a ping pong table that is, I don't know if it's installed yet, but I think it's going to be out in a small courtyard. It's an outdoor ping pong table. So I think that came in, so excited about that. And then we also have purchased some tents to provide some shelter for those people that are meeting outside. The gazebo, as you know, at West has been torn down. And so tent outside of the dining room, there's like a concrete pad, if you will. There's a tent out there, so people, residents, and family want to meet. Again, please just maintain social distance, be aware. I know, especially when family comes together, you want to hug, you want to love on each other, but just please be cautious with that. And as I wrap up, I would like to once again, and I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but please make sure you vote. So a lot of people are doing early voting. Please, if you're Guilford or West, reach out to whether it's Susie Hudson, West, whether it's Amy or Linda, to find out about options for voting. But I encourage all of you, including myself, to make sure that we vote this year. And again, I don't care who you vote for, as long as you vote. It is something we're all called to do. So thank you for your time today. I hope that it came across loud and clear. I do not know. I assume it might be played more than once, but please remember, we will have minutes from this that will be distributed. So if you didn't quite catch everything, please be on the lookout for minutes. God bless you. Continue to stay safe. Continue to be vigilant. And know, on behalf of Friends Homes, we thank you for being residents and choosing us to be your home. God bless you.